All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're having a wonderful morning. It is April 28th, 2025, and we got a really slow start to a very big week. We're going to be getting all of the mega cap earnings. You are going to be hearing from the Treasury and Scott Bessent today on updated borrowing, and believe it or not, you actually have Caroline Leavitt. She is talking right now with Tom Homan of the Border, and there was a couple of other updates here about when we are going to be hearing from Bessent, and Bessent was talking too. So you got some early headlines. Generally, though, we are riding out from last week and trying to figure out where these earnings are going to leave us. So we'll find out if we have more volatility. There was even a lot of talk about China. I had a video for you, and you kind of heard a little bit about it waking up. So we'll see where it all takes us. But Chattadonia, I hope you're ready to wrap up April. It should be a wild time. And welcome to earnings, baby. 15 trillion. Oh, yeah. Good morning. How are you? What up, CM? Tyree, Mesa, Lucky Soldier, Mr. Malone, Lori, you say, Malcolm, Zach. Oh, there's the Chad. Laker, Jay, good morning, baby. What up, PSC? Faisal, Brown, Tom Cruise, Dino, Mitch Matsuno, Bash, Conoric, Charmander, Zoraz. Good morning, baby. What up, Ion? What up, Confusion? I'm on business in the house. Dystopia, no. Mr. Edwards, Tim Whitman, Deco, Energy, Carson. How you doing, baby? What up, Ramzin? How you doing, rather? Christina, Kurt, Deco again. Ali, is it all-knowing or Ali? I called you Ali. What up, baby? Good morning. Passion, Hawaz, Watermelon. What about that Twitch? Stock Sasquatch, Lizzie, Senor, Dio, 12 Gemin, Key Diggs, Iron Beagle, Slow, Blue 42, Blow Window, Lone Wolf, Blazing Bob, and Pie Guy and Robo Hand Tech, baby. Good morning. So, Chattadonia, I hope you guys are ready. It's going to be an interesting Monday, man. I think this whole week. And last week was already wild, so you better be locked in. And here is Josh AI with the news. Good morning. U.S. stock futures steady before barrage of earnings. U.S. equity futures posted small moves as investors awaited reports from American companies worth $20 trillion and watch for progress in U.S. trade talks with Asian partners. Wild gyrations sparked by President Donald Trump's April 2nd tariff announcements have eased somewhat, but investors will be scrutinizing this week's key company reports for the earnings impact of U.S. trade policies. Fresh readings on the state of the American economy may support hopes of earlier than expected Federal Reserve interest rate cuts. Contracts for the S&P 500 were little change following a 4-day rally in U.S. equities, the longest winning streak since January. Europe's stock 600 rose 0.5%, boosted by M&A news out of Italy as Mediobanca made a 6.3 billion euros, $7.1 billion offer for the wealth management arm of Italian insurer Assicurazioni Generali SpA. Yields on benchmark 10-year treasuries climbed 5 basis points, while the dollar traded little changed. Gold dropped as much as 1.6% as traders unwound positions on signs the metal's advance may have run too far and too fast. 4 of the so-called Magnificent Seven, Microsoft Corp, Apple Inc., Meta Platforms Inc., and Amazon.com Inc. are due to report earnings this week. Analysts expect the group, which also includes Google parent Alphabet Inc., Tesla Inc., and NVIDIA Corp., to deliver an average of 15% profit growth in 2025, a forecast that's barely budged since the start of March, despite the flare-up in trade tensions. In terms of market capitalization, it's the busiest week of the year for earnings, with S&P 500 listed companies worth $20 trillion reporting. Meanwhile, Friday's U.S. non-farm payrolls figures will also turn attention to the health of the American economy. In general, I think this week's data won't be too bad for the economy because it really precedes the announcement of tariffs. Kathy Jones, chief fixed income strategist at Charles Schwab and Company, told Bloomberg the inflation numbers shouldn't be too bad, but I'll really be watching the ISM numbers at the end of the week and, of course, the jobs data where we could see some softness. In pre-market trading, Boeing Company shares gained as Airbus SE agreed to take over some assets and sites from Spirit Aerosystems, clearing the way for Spirit to be acquired by Boeing. Nvidia slipped on a Wall Street Journal report that Huawei is getting ready to test an artificial intelligence processor that the Chinese tech giant hopes can replace some Nvidia products. Investors are also watching for any signs of progress in U.S. trade negotiations after Trump suggested another delay to his higher tariffs was unlikely. Asian economies facing some of the highest U.S. reciprocal tariffs are leading the way over their Western counterparts in talks with the administration. Ultimately, it seems that we're moving towards a place where these policies start to make a little more sense. Themistoklis Fotakis, global head of FX strategy at Barclays PLC, told Bloomberg, if this starts shaping up in a place where markets can understand it, can quantify it, then I think that things are going to normalize. To help manage the next steps, the Trump team has drafted a framework to handle negotiations with about 18 countries, including a template that lays out common areas of concern to guide the discussions. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the administration is working on bilateral trade deals with 17 key partners, not including China. Bessent reiterated the administration's argument that Beijing will be forced to the negotiating table because China can't sustain Trump's latest tariff level of 145% on Chinese goods. Its standoff with China will likewise limit the potential benefits the U.S. can reap from deals with Asian trading partners, according to Phoenix Kalin, global head of emerging markets research at Societe Generale SA. Already there has been a lot of investor sentiment and positioning for some deals to be done, especially with Japan, especially with South Korea, Kalin told Bloomberg TV, but the scope is going to be relatively limited and hampered. The concern, especially for Asian trade partners, around how China will respond to the terms will limit the extent to which they can agree to certain terms with the Trump administration. 100 days of whiplash. Donald Trump promised Americans a boom like no other if they elected him president, but based on the stock market's performance during his first 100 days in office, it depends on what you mean by boom. The action certainly has been explosive, just not in the way investors were hoping. By April 30th, Trump will have closed out his first 100 days in office. Despite last week's rally, the S&P 500 index is down about 8% since his inauguration and on track for its worst run during a president's first 100 days since Gerald Ford in 1974, following Richard Nixon's resignation. Big Tech's earnings problem is estimates may be way too high. The last time Big Tech delivered earnings, Donald Trump had just started his term. Stocks were soaring on expectations of a pro-growth government agenda, and investors' main worry was how long it would take companies to convert their artificial intelligence spending into profit. 3 months later, they are facing a far bleaker picture. This week's quarterly results from Microsoft Corp. Apple Inc., Meta Platforms Inc., and Amazon.com Inc. will land in a market obsessed with every twist of a trade war that's wiped $5.5 trillion from the S&P 500 index. AI concerns have taken a backseat to angst over the possibility of a tariff-induced recession, while safe havens like gold have become the trade du jour for investors too rattled to buy stocks on the cheap. Carney's edge slips as Canada's election comes to a hectic end. The Conservative Party chipped away at the lead held by Mark Carney's Liberals in the final days of Canada's election campaign, though surveys still point to a probable Liberal victory in Monday's vote. The Liberals' estimated popular vote share was 41% in Abacus Data's final likely voter election model released over the weekend, just 2 points ahead of the Conservatives. The polling company had reported a 5-point Liberal advantage on April 21st. U.S. shoppers pay for Trump tariffs on Temu, doubling some prices. Discount Chinese retail app Temu appears to be passing on nearly all of Donald Trump's new import taxes to U.S. consumers, more than doubling the cost of some products in a move that that may add to concern about the inflationary impact of tariffs. Previously exempted from any levies under the so-called de minimis rule, parcels priced up to $800 now face an ad valorem tax of 120% of a product's value, or a per postal item fee of at least $100 starting May 2nd. PDD Holdings Inc. Owned Temu is requiring customers to pay those levies on top of the original cost of the goods. A look at 14 shipped from China items on Temu's bestsellers list showed taxes exceeded the value of the product. A $19.49 power strip, for instance, attracted $27.56 in import charges as of Monday, or 1.41 times the price of the product. However, there are no import surcharges on items that are already available in U.S. warehouses, keeping the prices of such goods generally stable. Trump floats new income tax cut in bid to ease tariffs bite. President Donald Trump suggested Sunday that his sweeping tariffs would help him reduce income taxes for people making less than $200,000 a year as public anxiety rises over his economic agenda. Trump has previously argued that tariff revenue could replace income taxes, though economists have questioned those claims. When tariffs cut in, many people's income taxes will be substantially reduced, maybe even completely eliminated. Focus will be on people making less than $200,000 a year, he said Sunday on his Truth Social network. Trump, China ramp up Panama Canal pressure with Lee deal in limbo. China dialed up scrutiny of Hong Kong billionaire Li Ka-shing's planned Panama port sale to a BlackRock Inc. back group, while Donald Trump sought preferential treatment for U.S. ships in the waterway, adding to uncertainty over whether the blockbuster deal will proceed. China's market regulator said Sunday that its review of Li-owned CK Hutchison Holdings Limited's sale of dozens of ports would cover all parties involved, and that the deal shouldn't be implemented without the body's approval. Although the transaction only concerns CK Hutchison's assets outside of China and Hong Kong, the regulator's statement is seen as an assertion of Beijing's control over businesses based in the Greater China region. Top overnight news: trade, tariffs, demand plunge, supply shock expected as importers hold off on shipping goods to America amid U.S.-China tensions. FT/BBG. Bessent did not confirm Trump's claim of ongoing tariff talks with China and was unsure if Trump spoke to Xi. ABC News NY Times. Bessent believes trade deals may take months, but a quicker de-escalation and agreements in principle are possible. Axios. Analysts say Chinese manufacturers pausing production and turning to new markets as the impact of U.S. tariffs hits. CNBC. Agriculture Secretary Rollins says Trump admin ready to bail out farmers amid trade war squeeze. Axios. China's top economic officials say country can do without American farm and energy imports. FT. Trump and EU Commission President von der Leyen agree to meet later after brief exchange at Pope Francis's funeral. Reuters. Japan denies report that said Bessent pushed for weaker dollar and stronger yen. Reuters. South Korea finance minister says tariff talks with U.S. help ease uncertainties but will approach talks cautiously. Reuters. Corporate companies ramping up cost-cutting measures to counter tariff impact, not resorting to job cuts yet. Link. Huawei set to test its new AI processor, aiming to compete with NVIDIA's high-end products. Link. Big tech earnings face high bar as estimates hold firm despite trade war concerns. BBG. Trump administration faces pressure on the availability and Medicare coverage of weight loss medications. Politico. OpenAI seen getting a boost from Microsoft, and Apple stumbles over AI visions. Axios. CBS 60 Minutes journalist Scott Pelley calls out Paramount ownership on air. Politico. Axios. Deliveroo suspends share buyback after $3.6 billion offer from U.S. rival DoorDash. Reuters. Elon Musk's XAI Holdings seeks $20 billion in funding, valuing the combined AI and social media company at over $120 billion. BBG. Airbus is nearing a deal to acquire some Spirit AeroSystems facilities, including its Belfast site. FT. Merck is set to acquire U.S. biopharmaceutical company SpringWorks Therapeutics for about $3.9 billion. Reuters, BBG, Toyota Industries shares surge after Toyota Motor Chairman Akio Toyoda proposed buying out the company. BBGFT filings show corporate America boosts security spending after United Health murder last year. Reuters and Italy's Mediobanca proposing 6.3 billion euros all-share offer for Banca Generali, aiming to double its wealth management revenues to 2 billion euros FTA. China, Beijing announces policies to support exporting companies, boost domestic consumption amid U.S. tariffs. BBG, CNBC, Reuters. China's state planner expresses confidence in achieving a 5% economic growth target for 2025. Reuters, Beijing Daily article on China's leadership stance on trade war, emphasizing long struggle with no room for compromise. Beijing Daily. China lowers tax rebate threshold for foreign visitors to boost tourism. BBG. Central banks. BOJ said to keep policy rate on hold this week. Attention on economic forecast downgrades. Nikkei. BBG. Washington. Disputes are ongoing over details of Trump's tax and spending bill, with some lawmakers taking non-negotiable stances. Link. Doubts ramping up over whether Speaker Johnson's ambitious mega bill timeline is feasible. Politico. Trump suggests his tariffs will help reduce income taxes for people making less than $200K a year. BBG. Energy. LNG industry warns the Trump administration that new rules requiring U.S. transport vessels are unfeasible. FT. Chinese oil traders ignore long-term trade war concerns to capitalize on lower crude prices. FT. Geopolitics. Trump administration urges Russia and Ukraine to make progress on a peace deal, calls on Russia to stop attacks. FT. Reuters. German Defense Minister Pistorius advises Ukraine against U.S. proposal, claiming it concedes too much territory. BBC News. North Korea confirms it has sent troops to Russia for support in war against Ukraine. Politico. Reuters. Putin expanding bases and preparing to move more troops to European border regions far from Ukraine. Russia claims to have pushed Ukraine out of Kursk. FT. Trump administration quietly holding discussions and consulting outside experts over game planning for potential North Korea talks. Axios. Trump argues U.S. military and commercial ships should travel through the Panama and Suez canals free of charge. BBG. U.S. in touch with India and Pakistan over latest tensions as both nations exchange small arms fire. Reuters. I thought there was one more, but that's a lot. And I think Caroline Levitt is still talking, but we have more, Chattadonia. S&P futures, they're up by 0.1 Monday morning near the best pre-market levels. Comes after U.S. equities rallied sharply last week, with the S&P up over 4.5% and ending the week at the highest level since Liberation Day. Mag 7 is a big outperformer. Treasuries unchanged to weaker with the curve steepening. Dollars up by 0.1. Gold down by 0.2 and Bitcoin little change with WTI down by 0.3. No big directional drivers in play as market awaits for flurry of high-profile macro data and earnings reports this week. Nothing particularly incremental on trade, though the topic dominated the weekend headlines, particularly in terms of coming supply chain shock and event spillover to hard data. Conflicting statements regarding U.S.-China talks, another area of focus. No particular clarity from Besant this morning, along with the logistical complications of getting deals done. On the earnings front, focus now seems to be heightened macro and tariff mitigation efforts. Market headlines have highlighted 50% retracement down from the February peak, along with hedge funds selling versus retail dip buying resilience. Quiet on the Fed front, though potential Powell successor Warsh criticized central bank for the drift that led to systematic errors in conduct of monetary policy. Wait, there's more. No major economic releases today scheduled. However, Treasury updated borrowing estimates out this afternoon. Big macro week on tap with JOLTS job openings on Tuesday, conference board on Tuesday, first look at GDP on Wednesday, core PCE on Wednesday, ADP private payrolls on Wednesday, Treasury refunding on Wednesday, ISM manufacturing on Thursday, and non-farm payrolls on Friday. Street is looking for a 130,000 increase in non-farm payrolls following a 228,000 gain in March. Unemployment rate seen unchanged at 4.2 and average hourly earnings expected to increase by 0.3 month over month. Relatively quiet in terms of corporate news today. Multiple analysts defending Summit after Friday's disappointing data release. DPZ, EPS beat through, revenue missed with comps below estimates. RVTY, organic growth beat with FX seen as diminishing headwind. ADMA boosted up by FDA approval. BKU, NII, and NIM and fee income were light, and analysts flag loan attrition. CGON, a big gainer on positive trial data. Investors pulled ahead later this week. We'll see 40% of the S&P reporting, including Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, and Apple. Verizon or Visa and MasterCard report also expected to be scrutinized regarding recent spending trends, while Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and Starbucks may be in focus about to which extent Trump 2.0 has impacted consumer-facing names. There you go. Now, that's it. Now we do play, Habibi. Still a lot this morning. And then, again, even Caroline Levin in the morning, I think that's very interesting. It's very early. But you got some pre-market movers up 11%. Aurora Innovation is up by 11. Summit is up by 6.8. Receives NMPA approval for SNDA, and analysts defended it after the stock dropped 36% on Friday. RVTY is up by 5.5 off earnings. BNTX up 4.8. Accesso approval. Toyota up 3.3. Toyota Motor comments on media report. Chairman proposes Toyota industry buyout. Cyber is up by 3. ONON 2.9 off of City upgrade. Boeing up 1.6. Berenstein upgrade. ZS up 1.4. BNP Paribas upgrade. CGON up 38. Data on Credosmogene Granada Moravipic monotherapy. I don't know what that is. OPRA is up by 12 off earnings. ADMA is up 7. FDA approval of production yield enhancement process. Bull is up 7. BHSVN up 6.7. $600 million investment by Oberlin Capital. Peloton up 4.8. Truist upgrade. SWTX up 3. Merck to acquire for $47 a share. HIMS is up by 3. TMC is up by 3. SPR 2.4. Definitive agreement with Airbus SE to transfer ownership. NG is up by 1.6. Spurs up 15, complete sale of maritime business to Kepler. ADCT, positive results on trial. Plug is up 11.8 on guidance. AMPY 6.7, termination of merger agreement with Juniper. Jack in a Box up 4.8, Stifle upgrade. NTLA is up 2.9, URGN up 2.7, patient reported outcomes following treatment of LGIR NMIBC. Domino's down 2.4 off earnings. NVIDIA down 1.6, Eli Lilly down 1.6, HSBC downgrade, ROP down 0.1 on earnings, TLX down 7.9, FDA denies NDA for Telix Pharmaceuticals, Omex down by 13, 500 million mixed shelf, ZYXY down 12.9, 100 mixed shelf, SNTI down 4.6, additional preliminary data from phase 1 trial, TNXP down 2.4, preliminary Q1 results, and FLNC down 2.4, HSBC downgrade. Wow. So Chattadonia, that's it. That is everything. That is all of our headlines, all of our plays. It's a pretty big day. So we'll see if the cash open is as exciting as the headlines. But again, last week was pretty amazing, or people at least felt amazing by the end of it. But remember, this is still going to be a little cautious, and this week we got to determine whether or not we get another rally, and then by how much, and then does that Mag 7 leadership, does that come into play? So, Chattadonia, I hope you're ready for all of it, but before we talk any more plays, before we do anything else, Chattadonia, I think it's time. Oh, yeah. And here at the Colt, baby, before we do anything, before we try to chase the dollar, before we try to win rich ourselves, we must pay homage to a very special group of people that has made a sacrifice that most of us never have and never will. And I'm talking about the veterans of the United States of America. So on behalf of the Colt, the people here, the people not here, man, we do this every day for a reason. I truly hope you guys could bring this to real life, man. I hope we could get $6 billion for the homeless veterans, but at the very least, man, day in, day out, I hope y'all show this in the real world, and it is the love and appreciation for those who have given everything. We are enjoying this freedom day in and day out, bro, because people long before us have made this commitment, and they continue to do it. So I hope veterans, let us help out however we could. We owe you guys, and God bless all of you. If anybody should be getting a house, a crib, a long-term, veterans, let's go, baby. So get on that, but at the very least, man, thank you all, and I hope we could bring this culture into the real world. And big shout out to anybody else out there giving back to their local communities, doctors, nurses, teachers, firefighters, police officers, the janitors, the coaches, the garbage men, anybody making their community run. God bless you and thank you, baby. But ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Place your right hand over your heart. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, baby. Oh. Son of the judge! Oh, it's game time, baby. Oh, no, let's go. Oh, that was dangerous. I almost got clapped by the horn, bro. Oh, man. Monday morning. Are you guys ready or what? It's fucking Monday. Oh, good morning. So, Chattadonia, we got the plays. We got like 4 minutes. I got a couple of plays I'm going to be looking at. But like I'm telling you, man, this Mag 7 theme and where we go from there. And by the end of this earnings, I do think that will be the most important. So, let's find out where it takes us. But, Chattadonia, God bless you all, and good morning. It's time to move to Gen Pop. If I don't see you there, you have a good day, okay? And enjoy the rest of your week and your Monday. But other than that, God bless America. Thank you to the vets. We wouldn't be here without them, baby. And that is all. I will see you guys in Gen Pop. Goodbye.